Good evening, everybody. Happy Wellness Wednesday. I'm Dr. Christine Pluta, the founder of Schuylkill Medical Associates, which is a concierge house call practice for seniors in the homebound. I service Philadelphia and Camden County, and I've been in practice for 20 years and doing home visits for over 14. So welcome to my Wellness Wednesday, which is when I just like to give little educational tips that are often related to my realm of home care and dealing with the homebound. So today's topic is going to be that of what is a medical proxy. Hopefully many of you have heard the term. A medical proxy is a term used when we talk about advanced directives. So I just want to read you a definition of medical proxy, and then I'll break it down a little bit. So in the field of medicine, a healthcare proxy, HCP, you'll often see it abbreviated. A healthcare proxy is a legal document with which a patient appoints an agent to legally make healthcare decisions on behalf of the patient when the patient is incapable of making and executing the healthcare decisions. So, to break it down, that this is a legal document. It cannot be changed or altered unless it is done by the patient himself or herself when of sound mind. The medical proxy portion of the advance directive does not need to be signed by a lawyer. Actually, I take that back. In the state of New Jersey and the state of Pennsylvania, a medical proxy document does not need to be notarized or done under with the help of a lawyer. It can be done on your own. It is just signed by two witnesses. So a notary is not required, which makes it very easy for the common person to have this done, that you do not have to seek the help or pay for a lawyer to do this document for you. These medical proxy documents can be downloaded, printed. Your physician should also carry them. I know I carry them in my car. I can certainly mail one to you, etc. But they are easily and readily available in online and on the internet. And like I said, it is signed by two witnesses. The witness cannot be the person who is designated the proxy. So, yes, it's a legal document and it cannot be changed. Can it be transferred to other states? Probably. So there is not a universal medical proxy form. And obviously if the patient is moving or transferring their care to another state, that's something you would want to check with your lawyer to make sure that your medical proxy form in New York is also valid in New Jersey. Typically, as long as it was done properly in that state, it can be transferred to another state and it will be accepted. But again, double check. But in the state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania, they do not need to be notarized. Another important part of this definition is that a healthcare proxy only takes over if the person cannot make decisions on his own or on her own. So that patient has to be incompetent to make any healthcare decisions before the healthcare proxy goes into effect. So I can designate a healthcare proxy for myself, but as long as I'm capable of making my own medical decisions, that healthcare proxy never needs to step in. Let's say I go under anesthesia and a decision needs to be made while I'm under anesthesia, and I'm obviously incapable of making a decision while anesthetized. Then the healthcare proxy would step in and have to make that decision for me. if somebody has advanced dementia and can no longer make decisions for themselves, or, God forbid, had a stroke, if there's any type of brain injury, if at any time the patient is no longer capable of making decisions, healthcare decisions, then that healthcare proxy document would go into effect. If the situation reverses and the patient now has recovered and is able to make decisions, then that healthcare proxy steps back and the patient makes his or her own decisions. When designating a healthcare proxy, you want to think, who is the person who is going to understand your wishes, be able to communicate that with the medical team, and take the time to listen to you now to know what your wishes are. So there is a primary healthcare proxy, and then there's a secondary. So in the event that the primary proxy cannot step up or is not willing, then it would go to the secondary. So you should have two people listed as healthcare proxy, a primary and then a substitute. Let's see, what else? You have to be 18 or older to have a healthcare proxy document, and also to be a proxy for someone. So this is very important because oftentimes we run into a situation where somebody does not designate a healthcare proxy for themselves, and there can be a lot of confusion, whether it's in the hospital or under an emergency situation, when that person is not able to communicate and nobody knows what this patient would have wanted. Oftentimes there can be family feuds that go on. Oftentimes there's there could be partners or spouses that want one thing and the children maybe want another. That really can be resolved. It makes it a lot smoother and less stressful for the whole family, loved ones, and medical team when knowing that the patient has designated somebody and has already made his or her wishes known. So the second part of the advance directive is where the patient actually delineates his or her wishes, and they're more broken down into categories. But what I tell patients is, if you're having a tough time making decisions such as do not resuscitate or do not intubate, or would I want a feeding tube or would I not, if you're not ready to make those decisions, at least designate a healthcare proxy. Who is the person in your life that you would trust to honor your wishes and follow these wishes in the event that the proxy needs to step up? So if you don't have a healthcare proxy, get one. It's an awful kind of morbid thing to talk about. I did one for myself 2 years ago. I put it off and finally did it, made my whole advance directive. And honestly, it's a relief knowing that my family knows my wishes. Everybody has a copy of it. There's not going to be any arguments. What would she have wanted? What would she not have wanted? Are we doing the right thing? Are we not? So do yourself a favor, do your family and your loved ones a favor, and start the process. Start thinking about making an advance directive, or at least starting with a healthcare proxy? Who is the person that you would trust to follow your wishes in the event that you are not able to speak for yourself? Super important, guys. Download it on the internet. Ask your physician if he or she has one. And you are never too young to do this. And yes, you can always change your healthcare proxy at a later date. If you make one when you're 30 and maybe that person is no longer around, then certainly that can be changed. But do it. Get your family members to do it. Get your loved ones to do it. Everybody should have a healthcare proxy. It would make your life easier, my life easier. Have a great night. Happy Wellness Wednesday, and I will see you again next week. Like my channel. Follow me on Instagram. It's SMA House Calls as well. And again, from my home to yours, happy Wednesday. God bless.